I've been saying forever, and many other people have been saying forever, that the United States needs to start utilizing first-person drones in our military. And this article just came out and gave me so much relief. Marine Corps stands up attack drone team to take lessons from Ukraine and teach them to grunts. This is a couple years too late, but thank God. The Marine Corps drone attack team will develop tactics for using first-person view drones. Marine Corps has established an attack drone team as part of an effort to make sure rifle squads have the technology and tactics to find and destroy enemies up to 20 kilometers away, said Colonel Scott Cuomo, head of Weapons Training Battalion, Quantico. And as we go down, here's the important part. Starting in fiscal 2026, the attack drone team will take part in Marine Corps marksmanship competitions to teach other Marines new ways of using FPV drones, said Major Hector Infante, a spokesman for Infantry and Education Command. The attack drone team will also take part in U.S. and international competitions involving small drones and FPVs to share what they learned with the rest of the Corps, Infante told Task and Purpose. It's very important that they go out in international competitions, that they go out and test their training, that they teach what they learn, that all these skills need to be passed on a squad level. These are squad level weapons. And we've got to have them in the quantities needed. And this article was from 2 months ago now. And I remember I did a video about this. It's on the channel. U.S. startup to deliver 6,000 FPV attack drones to Ukraine. Neros, an autonomous drone startup founded a year ago, has secured a contract to deliver 6,000 FPV attack drones to Ukraine over the next 6 months. This is an American manufacturer of FPV drones, and they are going to be producing those for Ukraine, so there's very likely going to be the same kind of contract for the United States military. And it also has to be understood by our military that so many of these are just going to be wasted. Got to think of them like practice rounds, like out on the rifle range. You're going to fire off some drones, and they're all just practice shots. This is from a presentation from Colonel John Antel about the importance of drone warfare in modern warfare.
Okay, we don't have any sound.
And unfortunately, there can't be any sound because the sound he uses is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. So you can't really listen to this too much. But when it's done with the music, I will bring it to you. Look at those stacks of drones. This is a cottage industry.
One picture of the Russian commander on the BMP that's running away before the drone strikes, and he shoots the shotgun at the drone. He missed. The drone killed him. That's the last act of desperation. That was a first-person view drone, Ukrainian drone, that took him down. War is changing. We need to understand it. And we can look back at history to understand why it's changing and why it's important. During World War I, the British Army started the war with only 2 machine guns per regiment. 2. Per infantry battalion, per infantry battalion. And 1 gun was a spare, which means basically they had no idea what machine guns were when they started the war. Could you imagine today going to war without machine guns? In World War I, machine guns were a very, very critical weapon. And by 1916, things had changed dramatically. Red July 1916, the Battle of the Somme. This is a tremendously sad day. 60,000 casualties in one day. 27,000 dead. 27,000 dead. And then the rest casualties. Just imagine having to take care of all those casualties, let alone recover the dead. And that was done by a precision weapon manned by a human called a machine gun. Now, mortars and other things and bombs and artillery were used, but most of the killing was by machine guns. Now we move forward to Red October 2024. The Russian army has lost 40,000, mostly to drones, in 1 month. Their casualties are almost 1,300 a day. Now, that's not all dead, but that is a tremendous amount of casualties, and you can only sustain that so long. And this is mostly by drones. Think about that. The drone is the machine gun of the 21st century. Change our mindset.
The drone is the machine gun of the 21st century, and we do have to change our mindset. It's absolutely important we do, and this is, the Marines doing this is a great first step. It's a great first step, and it has to only be the first step. There's got to be many, many more.
Think about the cost of a tank versus the cost of an FPV drone. So what kind of drones do we have out there right now in war? We have ISR drones, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, needed because you must see the enemy and you take videos of all these other things. This helps with the transparent battle space. The next, you have bomber drones. These are drones that drop grenades on people, on positions. When a tank crew gets hit by a first-person view drone, particularly a Russian tank in Ukraine, what is the first thing if the Russian crew is still alive? What do? Exactly right. They abandon tank. They get out of that tank as fast as possible. Do you think they close the hatch when they leave? No, they don't close the hatch. They run. Everybody goes as fast as you can. So the troops are gone. The crew is gone. If there's any that left, that any survived. But then that tank is sitting out there, and maybe it's smoldering, but it's not destroyed. And if you recover a tank, you can fix it. But you take an FPV bomber drone and you go right over the top of it and you drop that grenade right into the hatch, and it sets off all the ammunition inside, and that tank cannot be fixed after that. You clean up the battlefield with these things. Absolutely amazing tactic. The next is the first-person view drone. One of the most accurate killers right now in Ukraine is the first-person view drone. Why? Because the first-person view drone is controlled by a human mind. One mind, one drone. The next are loiter munitions. Very important. They will become absolutely decisive, and the better they get, the more decisive they'll become. They can hover over an area for a long period of time and give you a saturation over time so that the enemy is denied those areas. The next is unmanned combat aerial vehicles of all types, UCAVs. You may remember back in the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War, and even the beginning of the Ukrainian invasion, about the Bayraktar TB2. A very effective Turkish drone that was not that expensive, that flew but had missiles on its wings. So it's a robotic airplane that shoots missiles. And this was very effective because it was able to get far deep into enemy territory and then shoot those missiles very accurately. So we have many different types of drones. Now, the democratization of these drones, in other words, the fact that anybody can get them now, including terrorists and assassins, cheap and attritable, changes almost everything.
And he does mean anybody can get these. I am now going to cite to you an article from The War Zone. Radars deployed to Mexican border detect cartel drones updated. The U.S. Army contributing ground-based radars to help spot and track drones as part of the continued buildup on the United States military support along the U.S.-Mexican border. Drug cartels in Mexico have been steadily increasing their use of weaponized, uncrewed aerial systems, as well as unarmed types of surveillance and smuggling. There are also concerns about the drone threats posed to the U.S. homeland, especially military bases and critical infrastructure. As you scroll down on this, it obviously talks about the deployment of those radar systems. But what it also does, it shows a couple of Twitter videos here. This is a cartel. Cartel members operating explosive-laden in Zacatecas. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, and I apologize for that. Cartel members displayed an DJI drone, which is armed with an airdropped, improvised, locally made grenade, which will likely be used against Sinaloa members. And as we scroll down, you can see more evidence of this exact use by Mexican cartels against rivals. And it would be only a matter of time that they'd be used on other targets. One of the things that is of concern, and the War Zone did have an article about this as well, that troops on the border are asking for these to be deployed, and they're also asking for permission to fire on these drones because they are a danger. As you can see in this article, okay to shoot down cartel drones flying across the border sought by NORTHCOM boss. The push for new authorization to engage drones coming as Mexican cartels are using them over the border for surveillance and smuggling. And this article goes through the dangers faced by U.S. forces on the border And it does cite the very examples that I just cited for you with those Twitter posts from the cartels. So as we continue with this video, and we're not going to continue it too much longer, but I wanted to give you this example because I do think it's very important that we understand what drones are, their point in modern combat, and the fact that the Marines now have them is a good thing.
And it changes warfare. If we think it doesn't, we are not thinking. We are not looking at what's happening in the world and at war right now. And what that takes, for instance, like with an FPV drone or a bomber drone like this illustration shows, is goggles, you know, the ability to control it. One guy is controlling it, so he is the mind of the drone, and the other guy is looking at the overall situation on a tablet, and he may, in addition, have a drone sensor. How many of you here ever heard of the Sukarok? Okay, you all need to know about it, and you all need to get one.
We're going to cover that part specifically, the Sukarov, because it needs to be a part of every single United States military soldier's basic equipment profile.
I'll talk about it a little bit later. Now, this is Darwin. Darwin is one of the best drone operators in the Ukrainian army. Okay, he's in Aerozvidka, which is the Ukrainian Drone Corp. Now, the Ukrainians were very smart in creating a drone corps because no matter what anyone tells you, millennials or others cannot pick up a drone and operate it perfectly immediately. It takes training. Imagine the training it takes to operate a drone at night, in smoke, through a forest, in a built-up area, while the enemy's trying to jam you and they're shooting at you.
Everything he just said is the exact reason why the United States Marine Corps having a drone corps is absolutely vital. Vital going forward. Every reason he just cited is why it's absolutely vital. The Marine Corps, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Navy, everybody needs to get into the first-person drone game.
Now, Darwin, he comes to work around 1700, 5 p.m., gets into a bunker. He has 60 drones that his team will put out for him one at a time. And out of those 60 drones, he might get 16 to 20 hits, and the rest are wasted. The rest are lost. Now, we don't see a lot of the videos of the drones that fail. That's not a good video.
That loss rate is exactly why I said during Marine Corps training, there has to be an ample supply of these drones because they have to be used similarly to almost exactly the same way they would be in combat. And that will lead to a lot of losses. You heard 60 drones that he has hooked up, and he hits not even a 50% on that. And he's one of the best. So we need suppliers and we need training.
They only show you the videos of the ones that succeed, but this guy gets 16 to 20 hits a night.
Плюс. Мій позивний Дарвін.
In Ukraine's struggle for survival emerges a new species of soldier, part human, part killer drone. His body is in a concrete bunker, but his mind, thanks to those goggles, is flying free, searching for something to destroy.
Ну, ти дійсно почуваєш себе так, в кінці взривається. Це ж просто неймовірно.
So, very effective. Imagine the cost of the ROI of a first-person view drone against 16 tanks. Now, a year ago, the Ukrainians said they were using 10,000 drones a month. That means they were expending 10,000 small UAS a month. How many drone operators does that mean? Not 10,000, but a lot. How many drone operators do we have in the US military? How many drone operators do we have in the UK military? In units, in infantry battalions, in infantry brigades, in armored brigades. Think about that. Not enough? Hardly any, which is the sad part. Now, today, it's 50K per month. That's what they're expending. And that's just an average. So right now,
50,000 drones a month. 50,000 drones a month. That is absolutely incredible, and you can see the extent that the United States and the rest of the world has to catch up because certain countries produce these things by the bushel, and we're going to kind of cover that very, very quickly.
So President Zelensky says that Ukraine will now produce 4 million drones a year, and they're making this in a cottage industry in Ukraine. They're building them in homes, in small little household factories. Kind of amazing. And some of these are printed with 3D printing. One Ukrainian soldier said this, and it's worth reading. He said, "There is a difference in war now. In 2022, similar to 2014, you would finish military education, become a Marine, super muscular, bench pressing 200 kilograms, a cool guy that no one compared to. But nowadays, this cool guy walks through the trench, and an 18, 19-year-old kid who grew up playing Counter-Strike and Need for Speed is piloting an FPV drone and takes out the Marine. And that's it. War is changing. We need to change our mindset." You need to read this. This 25-year-old Timothy Orel was given the Hero of Ukraine Award just recently. He has killed 434 Russian soldiers. 346 were wounded. 42 tanks. 44 BMPs, those are infantry fighting vehicles. 10 MTLVs, those are APCs. And 28 BTR APCs. One guy with first-person view drones. If we had an Apache crew that did this, they would be making movies about them. Think about the ROI here. This guy has a tremendous effect on the battle space. He is a trained killer. And it took a lot of training to get him to be able to do this effectively. War is changing dramatically. So drones are the machine gun of the 21st century. They claim the tactical high ground. Just as high ground is always important, now you have the high ground that is in the air. And they also act as aerial cavalry, reconnaissance, and also being able to do delaying actions and attack and flying artillery. They hold the power to decide between survival and annihilation in the modern battlefield.
And they very much do. They very much hold the key to survival on the modern battlefield. This video I want to show you real quick, and this is very quick. This is a training video. See if we can bring it in here. This is the training video of Chinese Drone Corp. They are already doing this. And as you can see on the closed captioning underneath, because they do obviously play music behind this, their Drone Corps is far ahead of where the United States needs to be. And to have the United States Marine Corps finally putting up a drone corps is a good thing. Look at this training video. This is the kind of video, this is the kind of training that these guys go through. As they do aerial combat, virtual aerial combat, where they have to pop a colored balloon. This is already happening in the Chinese military. So it needs to happen in the American military. And the very final thing I want to hit you guys with, if you're still here, I'm glad you're here, because this is a very important part. The United States military needs to add to every single soldier's kit something similar to this.
So you saw in that picture, one of the soldiers of that team had a Sukarok. This is a very inexpensive device. It is a passive receiver that is set to drone frequencies. And it warns you with an audio alert that drones are overhead. Why don't all of our soldiers have these? Why don't we have these with some of our systems? If you're going to deploy drones, you are in fact the biggest target for the enemy, because they want to hunt you down and kill you before you launch your drones. You should have something like this. Now, this is just one device. The Ukrainians made it. It doesn't cost a lot. It's passive.
And something similar needs to be in the kit of every American soldier, along with a shotgun. A cheap Mossberg 500, a Sukarok, warning against them, and some kind of defense. Yes, it's not the most ideal form of defense, but at least as far as morale goes, it feels better to have something in your hand that can tangibly do something than throwing a frickin' rock at it. So, I wanted to bring this to you today. I know it got a little long. We're at 20 minutes, and Jesus Christ, we're at 20 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. But I do find this to be a very important thing. Whoopsie! I do find this to be a very important matter. And for the United States Marine Corps to finally be taking up a drone corps, of course it's the Marines. They're the ones who have to, they're the first, they're the tip of the spear. And of course the tip of the spear is going to be looking at this kind of thing. First to go, last to know. And if you're going to go, you got to go with the right stuff. Leave it to our Marine. God, we love our Marines on this channel. Leave it to our Marines. So, we need to get FPV drones in their hands. We need training, just like what you saw at the end of this video, of drones flying through courses, things such as that. I'm just going to put this up here one more time. This is the kind of drone training we need for our guys. This needs to be every armed force. Not just because of the ability to hit another vehicle or person and kill them, but just the surveillance aspect. This needs to be everywhere in the military. And with that, I thank you, and hopefully the Drone Corps can stand up and pass it along. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you liked it, hit like, share it with a friend, and subscribe. And I really do want to thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.